This is an SM Media production.
Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the Rangers Assessment right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike. It's a pleasure as always to be your host. I'm joined for the first time in a long time. It's a pleasure to welcome back to the show Robert Clark.
How you doing, man? Listen, delighted to be invited back on. A long time coming, and what a time to come back after yesterday.
You picked a good one, mate. You picked a good one. If only we could have envisioned it. But you were on. We were talking about this off here. You were on the first show when Bill was there in the summer, and then I think you were on after PSV away. So if I was to say to you then, Rangers would win a League Cup. They wouldn't have the same manager. They would be 7 points behind, but then with the potential to be 2 points behind getting into the game in the 30th. I don't think a lot of people would have been. I think a lot of people would have thought that channel's went off the trolley.
It's been quite the turnaround, hasn't it? I mean, even since when Michael Beale left and the names were getting bandied about, Muscat, Clement, I have to say, knew nothing about either really, other than Kevin Muscat being a former player and doing similar things to Mr. Postecoglou in the J League. Listen, we got Philippe Clement, and it looks to be the trump card at the moment. I'm sure we'll go into him later on, but just a wonderful appointment and a guy that's just working wonders with what he's got at his disposal at the minute.
I said on Thursday night after the Betis game where it wasn't. I don't think a lot of people will say that's the best Rangers 11 that can be put out. I think injuries have dismantled the squad. The squad we know have got problems, but that was a performance and a victory that wasn't happening 3 months ago, and it takes one or two things, and I think that's why the more we kind of look back on when Rangers got to Europa League final, we put it down to the manager being very, very astute tactically, because it was a similar level of squad, let's be honest. But the manager on Thursday highlighted the negatives, accentuated the positives, got 3 massive goals, and what looked a massive task became a massive result. And that's down to good management.
Listen, you would think, looking at the result, Rangers went over, then it was a smash and grab. It certainly wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
Both sides kind of went toe-to-toe, and Rangers created a lot of chances and took them as well. It was one of the games you're on the edge of your seat, couldn't take your eyes off. And again, going into it, if you'd asked me, I thought maybe we can get a draw and hope that Aris maybe do us a wee favour. But, we've topped the group, turned it on its head, created history, as the managers repeated several times. Just a wonderful night. Where it ranks in terms of, these big nights we've had over the last few years is up for debate. However, to win in Spain is no easy task, not even for Glasgow Rangers, for any side in Europe. So just a wonderful night, and the supporters looked like they had a great time as well. So and obviously that's continued into the weekend. So it's all about building that mentality, I think, and it seems to be coming slowly but surely.
Let's get into talking about the cup final on Sunday. Rangers played Aberdeen, obviously, Viaplay Cup final. First chance to win the trophy for the first time since 2011. Team news before the game, I think it was exactly what we thought it would be. I think we were all hoping Cantwell would come in, Sterling at centre midfield. It was obviously there was nobody really else that could go in there. The team selection was exactly what we thought, wasn't it?
Well, listen, the big one for me was he brings back in Balogun. Ben Davies had played midweek, and he was nowhere to be seen, even in the match day squad. So I think moving forward, Balogun and Goldson seem to be the manager's preferred choice. Yeah. Whether you guys agree with that or not, I thought going to Balogun at his performance as well. But I think he'll be added to the European squad for sure. And then you look at Sterling. Looks to me like even if Cifuentes wasn't suspended, they had to play anyway because he got injured, Cifuentes. Yeah. So and now he just looks like he's been playing in there for 5 or 6 months. A guy that potentially could have been out the door in January. There was talk of he's wanting away, this, that, and the other. He's not getting his opportunity. Well, he's grasped it now with 2 hands. He is a certain starter. The fans have took to him. He's the box-to-box midfielder that we've kind of been looking for. He's he's so athletic. He's got the legs, and obviously Cantwell coming back in as well. I think it's safe to say we all want him in that 10 rather than maybe Sam Lammers, who's maybe flattered to deceiving places. But delighted. I think, as you say, before kick-off, that's the team I'd have picked. I know there's maybe a debate at left back, but that's certainly the team I'd have picked.
Yeah, as critical as I can be of Borna Barisic, I think he actually had a really good game yesterday. Let's get into the game, right? I've heard a lot of people over the past 24 hours say, the game was atrocious. The game was a real poor advert for Scottish football. It's been played the weekend after, I thought, the last game of the European campaign for both sides. It's been played in a shambolic park. It's been played the week before Christmas. There was no way on earth that game was going to be anything other than a slog.
Well, Scott, it's a cup final as well. There's so much in the line for both sides, you know. But I have to say, I thought Scotty Arfield summed it up perfectly at half time. It had everything and it had nothing. You know, it was. Yeah. I couldn't take my eyes off it. There was a lot going on, but it just lacked a bit of composure for both sides. Maybe in the final third, somebody to maybe get a hold of the ball and have a think before playing a pass. I thought, before the game, Rangers fans put on a real spectacle, cracking display. Obviously, the pyro comes out as well. But I just thought, I think we're maybe a bit harsh on it. As you say, it's a cup final, and both teams are edgy. Both teams have not won it for a long time. Obviously, there's a lot on our plate in terms of getting over the line. And I just thought first half, maybe referee he maybe made it about himself in the sense that he didn't want to give cards out rather than giving loads of cards out. He tried to let the game breathe, which is great, by the way, but I think it maybe went too far. But we're all sitting there wondering how Graham Shinnie's escaped a book in the
Tell you a funny story. I was sitting with an Aberdeen journalist, and we were both saying the same thing. He was showing me something in his phone. I won't say who it is, just to no name him, shame him. He'd Shinnie to get booked in his coupon, and he showed me it, and I was like, waiting. And honestly, I was like, I went like that after the fourth tackle. I was like, that's 4, and I was like, and I get letting the game breathe, and I think the referee is getting a ridiculous amount of scrutiny coming his way for absolutely no reason, as usually happens in this type of game. Let's be serious, but he let the game go too much. I think
so.
First half, I think he let it flow. There was a few fouls that I think were the elbow in Cantwell. I've just watched the game back before we come on here, and I've heard the ridiculous commentary that was said about that. That's a shambles. We'll get into that because I want to touch on that because I think speaking to people who watch the game on the TV, I think it ruined the spectacle of the game for a lot of people.
In terms of the commentary?
Yes, I think it did. But we'll get into that. But in terms of first half, not a lot happened, but I didn't think at any point I was looking and thinking Rangers played poorly there. I thought they were trying to get stuff going. I thought Cantwell was trying to make a lot happen. Not a lot was coming off. I thought McCausland was quite quiet. Dessers was quite off it. But they were trying to make stuff happen. It wasn't a case of it was we saw against Limassol in the last Europa League, the penultimate Europa League game. Rangers were atrocious that first half. They weren't that great against Aberdeen at Pittodrie in the second half. But I thought first half they were actually okay, just nothing come off.
Listen, before the game started, I'd said we need to play quick, we need to get the tempo right. I thought that was spot on. Seemed to get a lot of joy down the left-hand side with Sima. You thought if something's going to happen, it's going to come through him. And right enough, when he gets in that central position, he gets a lovely turn. We sort of back heels it through. And the shots maybe just, it needs to be in one of the corners, and it's maybe too direct at Keller-Roos. Didn't think Tavernier got forward an awful lot in the first half. Maybe there was one opportunity where I think Lundstrom sort of plays a forward pass, and Tav's actually for the first time, maybe 40 odd minutes in front of McCausland. But it was devoid of any real opportunities. But at the same time, I don't think Butland has to make any real saves as well. So I think that's where both teams maybe faltered, is they were getting in the right position, but they just weren't getting that execution right in the final third.
I was talking as well, and we were saying the same thing at half time. We were saying Aberdeen are trying too hard to do the same thing they did in the last game, trying to get the ball, try to use Miovski as an out ball, try to get between the centre halves. But the difference was, I thought Goldson and Balogun were extremely solid.
Leon Balogun, I thought, was the shout for man of the match. I thought he handled Miovski expertly. Some of the stuff, also his distribution as well, I thought was very, very good. You're looking at Miovski, he's the talk of the town at the minute in terms of him or Shankland are going to go to, whether it be Rangers or Celtic, because both need a striker in January, I would feel. And he's always been touted. So I just thought Balogun was an expert at the weekend and really showed his class.
And that's the thing with Balogun as well. Like he came in as a kind of stopgap to be covered, but he's well suited. That's the thing. See, when you've got a proper manager there who wants to play a tactical style of football, he suits that. He suits that left. That left hand side has been a shambles for a long time, and Balogun has just restored a bit of solidity to it. But also, he's due a goal for a set piece. How many chances has he had? But he's going to get there. He's going to get one.
Listen, as well, what age is he? 36, 37? I don't know how old he is. He's probably ages with me, but he's the fastest centre back we've got, I think.
Yeah, I think that.
He
Yeah.
recovers so well. And as I said to you early doors, I do think that him and Goldson seem to be the better pairing. We have sort of chopped and changed at times. I know Souttar's come in, Davies has come in. Connor Goldson has took, I think, a couple of months to get up and motoring to get back to his best. There was maybe question marks. I don't think he had a long enough pre-season, to be honest. We stuck him back in. Michael Beale did really early doors. But starting to see a partnership flourishing. And they, as I say, they were instrumental yesterday. It's probably testament to the game, actually, that the best players in the park were arguably the defenders.
Midfield was a weird one because I looked at Aberdeen's midfield and you know what Shinnie's the kind of solid player in there. Clarkson's a bit of a kind of flair player. McGrath's a kind of workhorse, but Sterling and Lundstrom, who I thought both were excellent and complemented each other brilliantly, gave them no way of getting through. That was the thing. And Sterling, I thought brilliant in the tackle. I thought just to put he's able, as you say, to cover both ends. And I just thought the two midfielders gave them nothing.
It gives Philippe Clement a different kind of headache now, doesn't it? Because obviously when Rascan comes back, he's not going to swagger back in there if Sterling keeps playing like he's playing. And I think John Lundstrom's arguably in the best form we've been in sort of 12, 18 months.
Yeah.
He looks rejuvenated. He looks up for it. And he's playing forward a lot more than he has ever done. He's playing with a pace as well. And I must say, he looks like he's taking on a bit of responsibility. He looks like a bit of a leader now, which is great. This is what I've been crying out for a long, long time. So whether that sort of ties in with the fact that he might be up for a new deal come the end of the season, I don't know, but all may continue. I think when he's on song, he's a really, really good player, and we're seeing the best of that now. I think the manager trusts him, seems to be in the team every week. I don't think that is just due through circumstance with injuries. I think he genuinely thinks John Lundstrom a good player. And I don't know if you saw after the game, he spoke about Lundstrom sort of briefly and said there've been conversations. He knows how I feel. I know how he's feel. Says to me that look, there's a deal to be done there. Let's just get it done.
I think the contract situation this summer is something we're going to talk about for a while between now and then. Lundstrom, I think, is doing his chances no harm because, as you say, he's a different type of player. He's coming in. He's been given more responsibility. He's able. What I've really liked about him in the past few weeks is, particularly with Cifuentes and even yesterday to a degree, he was covering. It was if Sterling got into a bit of bother, if Cifuentes was getting into a bit of bother, he was covering them really, really well, which I really liked. And it kind of mirrors you back to when the Europa League campaign where he was kicking on, but you looked at that point that he was able to be the boss in midfield. He was given like some McGregor and Hatate no chance against Celtic in that semi-final. And he's back to that, don't get me wrong, but he's adding something else to the game. There was a lot of chance. See really every attack in the last 30 minutes. Lundstrom was involved in it in some way.
I think as well, he's split the fan base slightly. Some people want him to stay, some people don't want him to stay. There's an argument for hanging on to players too long, sentimentality, all that kind of. But I echo what you say. What he done in that semi-final with the John Lundstrom, you want to see, and if he can add to that as well, and maybe mature a wee bit, we've got a player on our hands. So as I say, I think the manager really likes him. I think the manager really trusts him. I think he'll feature in most of the games between now and the end of the campaign. I think we're starting to see now the players that the manager likes the most, the players that the manager trusts the most. We might see a bit more of a more settled side. I don't think we'll see the wholesale change that people might want to see in January in terms of comings in. I think it'll be one or two, to be honest. And he might prioritise a striker in one other position. I don't think you're going to see 4, 5, 6, 7 players coming in, and then maybe look to build on that again in the summer when he knows who's staying and who's going.
We mentioned the commentary, and I want to touch on a couple of things that came on my radar during the game. I got a text from a Rangers fan who watches the show, and he said something interesting. He said, Alan Hutton isn't the best commentator, doesn't really know what he's talking about, but at least you can tell that he has some interest in the game. Michael Stewart, on the other hand, has done nothing but criticise Rangers. Even at the end of the game when Rangers won, all he was interested in was going on about Kelly Roos for the goal. He's an absolute embarrassment of an individual. This is the problem, right, with Michael Stewart. Michael Stewart knows his stuff, but he's got so wrapped in his own head that he's anti-Rangers. He is anti-Rangers, of course he is, because where his political allegiances lie, because of what happened to him in the past at Rangers, which I'm sure he gets reminded about constantly. But I watched the game back and I watched it, and my ears were bleeding for a lot of it, to be honest. But I couldn't have enjoyed that game because there was literally no analysis of that. I was not getting any. I think Rory Hamilton's great. I've always said that. There is no tactical analysis. And Hutton wasn't great either, to be fair. But Michael Stewart, if he wants to commentate in Rangers games, has to be in a position where anything that's happened to you in the past, any political aspirations you want to do in the future, you need to put that at the door to cover a game.
He's not capable of that, Scott. Though he's proven time and time again, whether he's on Viaplay, whether he's on Sports Sound, whatever he is, he's not capable of that. Just on Alan Hutton, I think Alan Hutton he's usually pretty decent, but he had a nervy start. He opened up his opening gambit. He was going to say both teams are in good form. I think he was going to say, having mentioned the European results, and then he sort of faltered it, and I don't think he ever really recovered from that. But the worst part for me was the scrimmage in the Rangers sort of box where I think he's trying to get I don't know if he's trying to get somebody sent off, saying Duke was in front of the ball and just making a real deal out of something that wasn't there and everyone could see wasn't there. So it's difficult for him to praise Rangers. As you say before, he's got sort of issues with Rangers that go back, historically. And then his comments for the Cantwell one as well, just trying to just say that this was an everyday challenge.
It was one in Goldson. I think there's a point in the corner. I didn't see this where I was, so I didn't see what was going on. But what I noticed in the commentary was that he, instead of looking at the challenge, I think it's Goldson on Sockler. I think Goldson comes out and hits his sock or whatever it is. It's kind of one of those that's right, a talking to and away you go. But he tries
Goldson
to make it
down, right?
Aye, that's the one.
Yeah.
He tries to make that completely different to what it is, for no other reason than he can't cover Rangers honestly. Now I don't want to make this podcast all about Michael Stewart because quite frankly he doesn't deserve it. But I think it's important because I think we need to touch on the media culture in Scottish football, because that's a game yesterday. That's a pinnacle of Scottish football. It's one of your two National Cup finals. Viaplay, it's on Viaplay. There'll be English fans who'll be looking for something to watch before the Liverpool Man United game, which was just terrible, by the way. I saw that as well. And I would be watching that if I didn't have a dog in the fight, if I was a neutral, if I didn't know what was going on in Scottish football, I'd be looking at going, how on earth have those guys got a job? Now, I don't just mean Michael Stewart. I mean the likes of John Hartson and other games and things like that. There's a lot of people in Scottish football, particularly in the kind of co-commentary pundit side, who have been so caught up in the nonsense hysteria that we're now living with every day that they can't be honest pundits.
I think as well, you look at the Sky coverage with Sutton and Chris Boyd, that can become tedious at times as well. I think it takes away from the product somewhat. I know they enjoy all that and the controversy, but sometimes I think, like you've mentioned earlier, you want a bit of analysis, you want a bit of in-depth. Guys like Kevin Thompson are really good at analysing games, and I think Kenny Miller's not too bad as well, but sometimes, as you say, they would get dragged down an alley that we don't really want to go, and we're trying to sell a product. That obviously, I think Viaplay, they're not going to be sponsoring the Cup as of next year, are they? So we're looking for sponsors as well. So no, it doesn't do them any favours. And you think as well, you'd have, obviously, you get Alan Hutton on there for Rangers purpose. Who you should have somebody for Aberdeen there that give us sort of a balanced opinion. He got no allegiances to either side, and certainly no allegiances to Rangers, Michael Stewart. But as you say, difficult one for you. You've been at the game, you've come back and watched it again, and you can see it straight away. So,
and I was seeing it. I was looking at Twitter, and I was looking at social media, and I was just seeing these. I was getting texts coming through because my partner was watching it at home, and she was saying the commentator is a nightmare. And I didn't need to ask who it was because I knew. I was like, and then I was getting texts, and I was thinking, I knew this was going to happen. And my problem with Boyd and Sutton is that I think both of them know what they're talking about. Like Sutton was on the Norwich Ipswich game the other Saturday, and it was brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Tactically, no clown clown nature about him, just was talking about the game of football. The problem they've got is that they're looking for the 2-minute TikTok clip.
100%.
That's not helping Scottish football, because
No.
I'm not watching Scottish. I'm dreading, like, that's what I'm saying. Celtic's 6 Champions League games, every single one of them with John Hartson. Is that the best they can find? Do you know what I mean? Is that the best pundit for that game? There's 50. I would do it. I would cover any game just to avoid listening to that guy, because they don't know football. How many times, and it was the same yesterday watching back that game, the tug in the shirt and the early on for the I didn't see
the
it.
corner.
Did not
Cantwell,
know
wasn't it?
did not know a thing about that until I got home.
Yeah.
And seen that, and I was looking at it going, that's what they were telling us. That's why that it's been explained. It was explained a couple of weeks ago by Dermot Gallagher in regards to the Goldson one. The ball has to be in play when that shot's been pulled when the ball's out of play. That's not a foul. So again,
I think the thing with that one is they're trying to highlight something that Rangers have been profiting from for the last couple of weeks.
They're
And
just
that's why
they're just trying to make a situation, because
100%.
and it was a say I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous, and it does take away. Like, if you're watching that as a Viaplay subscriber, yeah, I would be writing in going, why on earth have you got that guy who knows nothing about the rules, who's more interested in talking garbage than actually covering the game of football, which he's probably getting paid to do. If I play like that, then fair play to them, but they need to find a better home for that competition, because that's what they're into. It's not working. But let's get back to the real football. Let's cover football tactically and with a bit of analysis. Second half, Rangers came out a bit better. The Rangers came out, there was a bit more in terms of they were able to control the ball. I thought the ball retention in the first half was poor. Second half, I thought it picked up a bit. Ross McCausland was one I wanted to touch on, because he's been such a breath of fresh air since he's come into the side. But past couple of games, he has struggled in terms of tracking back. Now, that he's 20 years of age. That he's going to learn that. I'm not going to be one knocking him for that. But what I think the worry is for that is that if your winger isn't tracking back, we see at the end with Sima with Barisic. I thought Sima was outstanding again defensively.
It really was. Yeah.
You need that on the other side, but I just don't think. I think the defence can struggle with that, and they've struggled for that for a long time. See, the chemistry between the winger and the right back has never really been on, and I think that was Aberdeen. If Aberdeen were getting anything yesterday, it was kind of down their left hand side, and it's one of those things I think Clement will be looking to tidy up. And again, it comes down to county coaching with McCausland, and I don't think we can knock McCausland for how well he's played since he's come in, but it's just something I want to see a bit tidied up a bit.
Well, listen, you look at the 2 goals that were conceded in Seville.
They
come down that side, and I said sort of prior to the game as well, that might be an area that Barry Robson targets, because obviously McCausland hasn't been helping out his fullback now. Clement won't let that stand. We know that for a start. It's going to be something that it's not something you can fix between game to game. He's going to have to coach him on that and sort of get him into areas and have that understanding as well. You'd think the captain would be having his arm around it as well. If they're going to be playing regular, they're going to need to build up an understanding. But listen, I must say, your comment about Sima is absolutely bang on. This guy is on loan, and he's shown more heart and desire than you've ever seen before. It begs the question, can we in full time, because he's been a breath of fresh air. The numbers he's got, the passion he's shown for the football club. There was I don't know if you guys spoke about it on here, but a couple of weeks ago there was sort of murmurs about, can we get Ryan Kent back on loan? Now, for all the easy on the eye and nice tappy Ryan Kent was, this guy's just much more effective. His finishing's fantastic. He gets himself in good areas. He pulls off that left hand side wonderfully. And some of the finishes when he's coming in century, just smashing it first time. By the way, really like him. Hopefully, something can get done there, because he looks at a real threat. And as you say, I think he might be playing with a different left back come next season. I don't think either the two of the ones we've got will be around, but I think that might be a priority position. But when you've got either those one where the one you mentioned about Barisic, comes back and helps him out late, gets the tackle done. He's back up round the player as well, in a way, before the player's even known what's happened to him. So he's got such an injury on him. No, really, really good player. Really impressed with him. I did think when his form, when he didn't score a couple of goals for a couple of weeks, I did wonder if that was the end of it. But he's had the baby and he's come back and get right back at it. So big player for us. He was big in the semi-final as well, I must say. I thought he was good then as well. So likes to play on that big pitch. and long may that continue, because I think hopefully we'll have another cup final for the season's out.
And he is, and that's kind of one of the things that when Sema came in, you were hoping, like, when there was absolutely no width, you were thinking, where does Sema fit? But when you've got, like, he obviously was kind of playing kind of behind the striker for a bit. He then played out right, out left. As you say, he's coming back. He was. I'll go back to when he played kind of wing back against Sparta Prague. He was phenomenal. And there's so many big games where he's come up. And I've said before, if there's one player in that squad, I want if 1-on-1, I want it to be Sema.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. But yesterday, yeah, I mean, he comes closest in the first half, but Rangers do come into life a wee bit. There's a couple of free kicks. Tavernier goes close. The goalkeeper makes a save. Cyril Dessers has a big chance, and it's very similar to his goal on Thursday night. Does the hard bit, in my opinion, peels away brilliantly, takes it on. Instead of placing it, which he does on Thursday night, he then hits it straight at the goalkeeper. I thought Dessers in the first half looked really lethargic, but I think second half, once Rangers kicked on a bit, he came onto a game. I don't know what that is, because you do the really hard part there. He does brilliantly. That would have been just as good as his goal on Thursday night if he'd scored that. And I just don't know. Is he trying to do something different? Does he think the goalie will have him sorted out? I was baffled with that. Probably baffled with that more than anything else, because looking at it, it was such a good bit of football when everybody was around me was like, he's going to score. He's going to score. This is exactly what he done on Thursday night. And he done everything right up until the finish.
It's a bit of a thoughtless finish, isn't it? He goes for power rather than placing it. Do you know what? See, first half, nothing was sticking to him. They're getting the balls up. I think, is it Rubizic? He went through him a couple of times as well. But with Cyril Dessers, it seems to be the basic stuff that he struggles with. See the difficult stuff, he can do that fine. It's the basic stuff that he seems to struggle. He's a bit of an enigma. And obviously we're relying on him at the minute because he's pretty much the only fit striker. I know we've got Roof coming off the bench and stuff, but it's a difficult one. I think it's an area we're going to need to highlight come January. But when he gets in on goal at the weekend, you think this is it. This is us 1-0 up, and obviously smash it right at the goal, and you know it's a save. But the McCausland one as well, when he kind of gets through 1-on-1. I thought, is it Nicky Devlin that comes in?
Yeah.
And I think he done enough, to be fair to Nicky Devlin, because I think if he's not there, McCausland's putting that away. So it was sort of touch and go second half. We were getting the chances, but you think the longer it's going on, you think this is going to go to extra time. You could just get that feeling there. And you know, I'm sure you'll talk about the goal, but it comes just at the right time, and it's, you know, we've been talking about this combination for a number of years, fullback to fullback, and it comes to fruition once again.
What I liked about it as well before, it was good. As much as I've said on here so many times, Borna Barisic, I'm not a fan. He's not what he was. He should be sold and things like that. But the build-up play for the goal's superb. There's a nice one too. Barisic finds it in the left-hand side. He's able to kind of peel away, puts a cross in. It's a nice. Dessers, I think, deserves a lot of credit as well, because he kind of takes the defender away. I think it's Gartman, takes him away, tries to kind of header it, and Tavernier's left wide open. Now, we've spoken about James Tavernier for so long. In big moments, in big games, he's just remarkable. I mean, the record speaks for itself, but in those moments, the way he comes up, the way he just takes a big game like that, where it's needed a moment of magic, and he just turns up again, and he's just been such a brilliant threat going forward for Rangers, and he deserves that more than anybody.
Listen, he gets two in the semi-final as well. You've got to remember that he's coming up time and time again for this football cup. And I think that goes amiss sometimes. It's easy to point him out because obviously he's the captain. And listen, he'll be the first to tell you he's not won enough trophies. I don't think he'd shy away from that. But something after the game was different about him. I don't know if it's down to having a proper manager next to him. I don't know what sort of influence he's having on him. But he just looked like he's got a bit of a different edge to him. And I think, I totally agree with Connor Goldson. He was asked, you know, what about your captain? You know, 14 goals for the season, and kind of said, look, this guy won't be appreciated till he's away. I think that is the case.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, we need to just, as a supporter group now, put up and shut up, because you're not going to get better than what we've got there. And I do think he deserves that from us. You know, he's been a long servant now for the Football Club, a couple of years away for a testimony, I believe. You know, you can talk about the numbers and the penalties and all that, but it's the big moments. You know, Europe, fantastic. The cups as well, fantastic. can he come up again in the 30th? That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, is that so? I go back to the Celtic game last season where they lost 3-2, and he was a one-man wrecking crew that day. He tried everything. There
He
obviously
really did, didn't he?
he get let down by his defence, but that's the sort of player. PSV comes up with a big goal and then he's let down his defence a minute later, but he's always trying to make that moment happen. Thought he was excellent yesterday. I thought just the way a lot of his recovery speed yesterday I thought was brilliant, far better than it was on Thursday. But Rangers see it out again, brings on Lammers and Roof, which I thought was good. I thought it was a good tactical move. I thought it helped kind of keep the ball in play, and I thought Aberdeen really offered nothing. Let's be honest, I thought Aberdeen were really disappointing yesterday. But it sees the game out, Rangers win, and I think we'll get into what does it like the two questions I've got here: how much credit does the manager deserve, and what can this do for this team this season? But that final whistle, you just saw that. I looked over and I just seen this massive relief. And I was at the, I was at, I've been to Rangers League Cup finals. I've been to one with 9 men. Been to ones where they've been absolutely relentless. 1-5-1. They beat Celtic, and I can't think of a moment. I can't think of a game where the fans needed it more than that, because that it's the cup that I would say it's probably the cup that's synonymous with Rangers. And I think
100%.
every single supporter in that stand were just like, thank God we've won that. And it was good for the kind of old guard as well, like Tavernier, Barisic, Goldson. They've won all 3 trophies now. Now it's taken them longer than any big kind of core group at Rangers, but they've got it now. I mean, nobody can take that away from them.
You think as well, like with the moving the League Cup now to December, the first trophy's up for grabs nice and early. It sets a sort of a standard, and it throws the gauntlet down to the rest. And I think we saw with other teams when they win the League Cup that sort of it changes their mentality and they go on. And I'm really hoping that it can do that for us. It's great to win it, great for celebrations, great scenes, but we've got to build on it. It can't just be right. That's the set complete. Delighted and rest on our laurels. We've got to build on it. We've got to be back winning that competition year on year, because that's what it means to be, to play for Rangers. You've got to lift that trophy year on year. You've got to try and lift all the cups, and we've not done that enough over the last 10, 12 years. So, as you say, great scenes. Some of the players, Philippe Clement getting involved as well. And as well, I think it was nice to see all the families there.
As well, yeah.
Connor Golson's boy with the medal around his neck, and big Jack Butland. I've got to say, I know we spoke about Seema, but I think Jack Butland has been pound for pound the best signing the club's made.
Such a calming presence as well.
See that punch in the last minute, unbelievable. So he's got potential. I'm hoping days like that will keep him at the football club, because there's no doubt he'll have suitors for England queuing up every window. But if you can get into the European runs and the trophy medals around your necks, I think that's his first major honour. If I'm not mistaken,
yeah. I think it's the same with a few. I don't think Dessers has won a major honour either. I think I'm right in saying.
So
I think
that's why they signed for Rangers, to win medals. So long as I say, it's all about building on this. And you heard Clement afterwards and kind of said they can enjoy tonight, but tomorrow we'll be back to business.
And that's what I liked as well. When Clement, I kind of caught his interview and his kind of reactions after the game, and he said something really interesting where he was talking. He was asked about January, and he said he was very coy about it. And I thought that was more, that squad have just done this for me. Do you know what I mean? He's looked at that squad. He can talk about the squad needs surgery in the summer, January, then the summer. We know that. We can realise that. But he was so relieved, I think, to come in there. And he inherited an absolute shambles, let's be honest. He's inherited a squad that was broken. It had been really, really below par, had a terrible manager who... I was waiting, Michael Beale putting something up on Instagram of like, did I get a medal or something? I was waiting on something like that, because I think he's that type of character. But what I like about Clement is that he's went in there and he wasn't afraid to put Sterling in. He wasn't afraid to take Cantwell off in the European game. It was big decisions that could have made him unpopular with the support. But the one thing that impresses me is he knows how to win. We've seen that in his past managerial career. He's went in there, he's took a squad that is really in a mess, and he's just able to get a tune out of them in games like that. Rangers don't win that game this time 3 months ago. And that's down to the manager.
See, the thing is, with a manager, right, a lot of people judge managers on recruitment, but you've got to actually judge them on, are they making players better? That's what they're there to do. And he's come in and done that. You can't argue that. We've spoke about Lundstrom there. You spoke about Stelling as well. And I just think he could have easily. I know there's been wee digs about the European squad, right, and the list and all that carry on, but he's not actually sat there and bemoaned about selections or people being injured or this, that, and the other. Just picks his team and gets on with it. And it's very, very important to remember this man's still not beaten as a Rangers manager, which is huge, really.
Games.
Honestly, absolutely incredible. And he goes on about a winning mentality, which I love. I love the fact he's creating that. Just to touch on, I don't want to spend too much time, but to go back to the Cantwell one, I think that was a bit of a turning point, really, because that could have gone either way. And then he selected them again at the weekend. He came out, was very, very honest, said they'd had a conversation. Todd wasn't doing this, Todd wasn't doing that. There's an understanding there. And then he put him in straight away. So I think a lot of people were wondering on the Saturday, is he going to play him? Is he going to play him? Could this be the end for Cantwell? No, he's grown up about it. I think his man management is class. He said about when they're going away and the winter break that he'll spend a lot of time with the players one-to-one. It's needed and all this. So listen, we've got a proper manager. There's no doubt about it. I don't know if you actually saw the audio from the interview on Viaplay afterwards where he was standing with McCoist and McInnes and stuff, and there's an aura about this guy. When he talks, people are listening, okay? So I think that's massive for us. We're a football club that have synonymous with strong personalities running the football club as the front of the football club. I think we've got one. I really do think we've got one.
Yeah, and I think that just makes all the difference as well. When I go back, and I was using this example a lot during the week, people were saying, like, if Rangers win this, what can they do? And obviously, the result on Saturday hadn't even been mentioned at that point, but I want to get into that as well. But obviously, when you win that first trophy, it can just be such a... McLeish, when McLeish was there, McLeish won the first trophy, was able to beat Celtic. He's got a massive chance coming up in 12 days where he plays Celtic at Parkhead. And he goes into that with full of confidence. The squad get into that full of confidence. This can be such a step forward for Rangers in terms of... And Celtic aren't the same as they were last season. They're not. We've seen that. There's enough differences to see that Celtic are going back the way. Rangers are on an upward trajectory, and they've got a really good manager who has climbed that first hurdle. The next 12 days, there's 3 games in that time.
St Johnstone, Motherwell, Ross County, 3 games, yeah.
Win those 3 games, and you go into the Celtic game at least 2 points behind.
Listen, there's a mini crisis by all accounts going on,
and it's a real spoiled brat type of crisis because
they've been self-entitled for so long.
That's the
trouble. And I just think the tide is turning. I think some of their support will know that. There was a conversation I had with some pals of mine saying, we can afford to go there and draw and this and that. I just think it's so important that we go there and win because I don't think we've won there for a long time. I think somebody reminded me it was January 21. So we're coming up on 3 years there. Not good enough for me. So I think we need to go there, put the foot on the throat, as they say, while they're sitting down and give them something to think about, give them a bloody nose, as they call it. So a perfect opportunity. As you say, we're on the upward trajectory. It's all about going there and we I think last time was under Gerrard. There was a bit of a fear factor when we were going there for them. CV Gerrard seemed to have their manager's number at the time. So to go back to what you said before about the self-entitlement and there was always going to be a come down for them coming for the product they were watching last season. We have to hold our hands up and say it was really, really entertaining. It was attacking football.
And you've seen that when Postecoglou went to Tottenham. He's getting rave reviews at Tottenham for what he's doing now. It's not in terms of result. It's not always working. We see that, but it's such a hard thing to balance, especially when you're changing manager. And Rodgers, as good a manager as he is, he's been given a shambolic recruitment process. Do you know what I mean? Again, he has the problem where, and I've said this repeatedly, if results weren't to go his way, there's enough of the fan base who haven't forgiven him for leaving, who will 100%. Immediately turn to him.
Again, I don't frequent Celtic Park often, but apparently there was apparently there was arguing amongst each other, shouting at the board and this, that, and the other. So listen, we know when the 10 collapse what they get like. If that, let them fight amongst themselves, and we'll just sort of focus on what we're doing.
Do you not think that's more because they can see Rangers motoring a bit? They can see themselves 100%. Coming back. It's and not more about...
importantly, like we said before, they can see we've got a football manager. I know I've listened to phone-ins and heard supporters say, they've got a manager now, Rangers, they've got a manager now, and it's in their minds. he's Clement's not kidding on here, and they must be thinking as well. Look at the players that he's got at his disposal. He's turning a tune out of them, still not being beaten. They can cling on to the fact that they're 5 points clear, because the table doesn't lie. But I think Rangers, will go into Wednesday night, business heads back on today, get that victory and start clawing that gap back.
Final game of... No, it's not actually the final game because they play on Christmas Eve. But Wednesday night, Rangers play St Johnstone, game in hand. Again, I go back to I was getting asked about this yesterday. Somebody asked, they said, "Do you know how Rangers will be in a bit of a hangover for Sunday?" And I was like, "Nah, surely not," because the manager will be in there. They said 2 words: Slavia Prague. Remember how bad Rangers were against Slavia Prague after that St Mirren game?
But I
don't think the manager will allow anything like that. I think Rangers will be absolutely relentless.
Won't either. I think Ibrox will be a carnival atmosphere because one, we've just won a trophy, and two, it's a chance to claw more points on them. So I don't think it'll. I
think even more important than that, it's a chance to get the goal difference down because that has been just as big a concern in the past 2 seasons. Celtic's goal difference was something like 48 goals over the 2 seasons. Now 4. Rangers got a 4-0 victory. They're level, do you know what I mean? Level in goal difference, and that could be such a big difference in terms of if Rangers are going to go in a title challenge.
I just hope, as I say, it's hard not to get carried away. I'm not going to lie, but we've been in these positions before and we have faltered. And as I say, I think Seville, massive mentality shift. Winning the cup final and getting over the line the way we did, again, massive shift in mentality. But you've got to keep it up. It's no good doing it for 1 or 2 games. You've got to keep it up. So whether we just win 1-0 on Wednesday, I won't complain. I'd love a 4-0 by the way. But it's all about just breeding that mentality and being able to cope with the pressure. This is your game in hand now. A chance to go and show that you can claw it back, and I think it's important that we just get it done. Get it done. So we'll see how we get on. But again, confident. And then you've obviously got third parts play a tricky one actually because I know Motherwell haven't been in good form, have they? But it's always a tricky one in the fixture list. So we'll see how that develops. But it could be a good Christmas and then a really happy New Year.
It could be, yeah. We will kind of get back to that, but we're going to wrap up the show there. This will be the final show before Christmas. So I want to wish a Merry Christmas to all our viewers. Enjoy Sunday night, folks, because it was a pleasure to be there and see that firsthand. Robert, I want to thank you for coming back on the show, mate. It's a pleasure.
Well, listen, anytime. Merry Christmas to everyone watching as well, and a Happy New Year when it comes.
Brilliant. Thank you very much again, folks. If you want more Scottish football content, subscribe to our Patreon channel, and as always, follow us on social media. Thank you very much.